Sonoma Sideshow.
Welcome to Sonoma Sideshow, recorded at Grim Reaper Studios, located somewhere at the base of the beautiful Blue Mountains in eastern Oregon. I'm your host, Les, the Snowman Canadian. Tonight, I'm going to go over an odd news that a listener sent in, an odd news clip, and our guest is Big Lundeen. Ernest was born and raised in eastern Oregon. He's got his bachelor's degree in Geomatics, and he's currently a Cadastral Surveyor for the Bureau of Land Management. Anybody who knows Big Ern knows that he has a passion for fishing and the outdoors, so hopefully tonight he'll share some stories of how those passions shaped his life. And we're going to ask him the big question. The Sasquatch question. He works in the woods all the time. It's his passion. We're going to find out, is Bigfoot real? From his point of view. So, should be a good one. Don't know where this is going to go tonight, but it should be fun. Welcome to the show, Ernest Lundeen. Hello, Ern. How are you?
Hey, Les. Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining me tonight via phone. You're located down in southern Oregon, so we couldn't necessarily get together and just have a beer and do this. So thanks for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been enjoying your show so far.
Good. Hey, well,
I haven't heard the Kurt one yet, but I'll be catching up on that one.
Right on. So, we talked about doing I told you how I like to do the odd news, and I haven't done any for a while, but tonight I have one to share, but I wanted to share it with you while I was talking with you, so I'm just going to jump right into that, and then I want to get your feedback.
Sweet. Bring it.
All right, this was sent to me from listener John out in Athena, Oregon. Headline reads... this is also from Olivia Mitchell from Cleveland.com. Headline reads, Hudson Mayor suggests ice fishing could lead to prostitution in ice shanties. Hudson, Ohio. Hudson Mayor Craig Schubert, whose baseless claims that school board members were peddling child pornography led to a rebuke from the Summit County prosecutor, is now garnering attention for suggesting ice fishing in the city could lead to prostitution. Schubert made these comments, which have been widely shared online during a Hudson City Council meeting Tuesday. Council President Chris Foster said a number of residents have requested permission to ice fish on Hudson Springs Lake. According to a recording of the meeting posted on the city's website, currently fishing is not allowed on the lake. So I just thought that was interesting. Somebody's worried that there's going to be prostitution in an ice fishing environment. How do you feel about that?
Well, I've never ice fished before, but that would take it to a different level, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it, though? It doesn't even sound like who would want to do that.
Why you would want to go fishing? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Now the fish aren't the prostitutes, are they?
The article didn't go into detail. That could change things, though.
Because that would really make it weird.
It would.
You never know today.
That's right. Well, listen, Ern, you know what? I wanted you on this show because I know there's one thing, if nothing else, that you are passionate about, and that is fishing and the outdoors. So I kind of just thought, I know we don't have a lot of time, so it's hard to cover everything, but in a nutshell, I just kind of wanted to start it off with how did you get into fishing? I mean, we all go fishing with Grandpa and learn that, but when did you go, okay, wait a minute, this is something I'm going to do the rest of my life, and I'm going to get into it, and it's going to be one of my major go-to activities outside of work and family?
Probably around junior high school. I was living down in Reno, Nevada, and my dad would drop me off on Saturdays at the bridge of McLaren Boulevard and the Truckee River, and then I would take my fishing pole and some worms and fish all the way down the Truckee River until I got to where I had to hike out of the river and walk about a quarter mile to his shop, and that was about the end of the day. And I look back and can't believe they let me go all day in junior high school, walk down a river. And I ran into a guy, and he had a backpack full of Keystone Light. And he actually offered me beer, and I was just like, "What?"
Yeah.
I didn't take any beer from him
that time. But
yeah, I'm surprised I didn't run into other interesting characters doing that. But nope, it was just me and the fish for the most part.
That's cool, though. It's a sign of the times that our parents would just be like, "Yeah, go play next to that river all day." You know.
Yeah, or here's a gun.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a gun. Go shoot something. Okay.
Right. Be safe.
Yeah, just be safe. You know, don't point at each other. So that's about the time you kind of got into it. And then, you know, of course, I know you on a personal level, and I've been fishing with you, and you're my favorite person to fish with. Well, you and one other guy, my buddy Brad, because you guys, like, you don't care that I don't know how to fish. You just want me to sit there and hold the pole and, you know, conversate and do your thing. And, it's like going on your own guide, but the guide is your buddy, and he's just doing everything for you, and you sit back and drink beer. So, you know, that's what I think about you. So what?
That's what it should be.
Yeah, and so how did you? I mean, like, what's your main style of fishing now? What's your passion? What do you do? And I know you've done all of it, but I mean, what are you into these days?
Oh, mainly I got a 16-foot Willie drift boat, and I like to go fish the rivers for salmon and steelhead.
Right on.
So, you'll have to come down and visit sometime, and I'll put you in the front of the boat with a rod in your hand, and that's all you got to do all day.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I know it. You did take me on that float that time, and that was an amazing time. And that kind of was going to lead me into another question about.
Yeah, I don't do those any. Haven't done one of those for a long time.
That was
all my stuff now is just day floats.
That was an amazing trip, though, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't know what I'm getting into, and you're like, no, sit on this pontoon boat. Just float, drink beer, I'll put a rod in your hand. And it was the time of my life. And what made me want to go into that was thinking about how we just pulled over one night, and you gourmet cooked up this meal of what we had caught that day, plus stuff you had brought along. And it was just mind-blowing. It was so good. It's one of the peak moments in my life that just always stands out. I guess, I was thinking about that and what you're into, and you know, you love to cook. I know you love to cook, and I've seen your videos and stuff. So, you know, it's just
speaking of videos, Les.
Yes,
we do have a man stuff channel I've been inviting you to for a while. You should join.
Is that sort of
man stuff there?
Okay, is that just what is that? Is it like all this other stuff? Like,
it's like, it's called Marco Polo, and you just like record a video of whatever you're doing and yak about it, and then hit stop, and then when people have time, they watch it, and when you have time, you watch them or you skip over them, and then you upload another one when you want.
I'll have to remember that.
I'll send you another invite.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was actually when it first came. But getting back to like that, how long have you? Was that the first time you'd ever done that, or have you been doing that forever, like cooking along the bank? And I mean, that was guide stuff right there.
Oh no, I'd been doing that for shit. Let's see, I've floated before that. I'd floated the Deschutes a couple times for 3-day floats. The Minam to Troy. Well, not Troy, but I forget what that upper area takeout is, but pretty much Troy. What else had I floated overnight? I think that was my first overnight float on the John Day, though.
That's wild. That was so awesome.
I've been cooking over a campfire for years, just going camping, you know.
Well, yeah, and I noticed in a lot of your videos, you gotta, like, you're doing it legit coals and cooking, you know, slow and low that way.
Yeah, I've been trying to. Finally, I still got the gas, but I just don't even turn it on anymore because I like messing with the fire.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have a fire pit in my backyard, so it's my cooker is my fire pit, so I can get my fix on pyromania.
Yeah, I know. We all have to do that. I love standing next to my fire pit, and I'm wishing the last house I lived at, I had one of them chimneys, which you're very familiar with, those chimneys. Yep. But I loved it.
I still have the one we had in Pendleton.
Yeah,
but the top top's missing, and that thing shoot foot spark like a flamethrower out the top of the chimney. So I just can't even run it where I'm at because I'd burn the neighborhood down.
Right. Those things are awesome. But so along with fishing, first, so I always like to do a quick little plug if it's a musician or whatever they're into. Like, what's your gear? What are you using right now? What's the main thing for any of my fishermen guys that are listening? What's your gear?
I haven't fly fished for quite a while. I almost got the fly fish gear out last year because I had some guy working for me that was a noob to fly fishing, and I almost got it out, but I wanted to catch fish, and he had never caught a steelhead, so we just used the old regular coffee grinder and fishing pole.
Yeah, right on. Do you? Is there any way I could talk you into sharing your story, a clean version of that tie flying story when you and a buddy were going to go on a trip, and you had made some handcrafted flies?
So I had still have a buddy that lives out in Kentucky. He's a Marine Corps buddy. And then I had another buddy that lived out in Kentucky, and he was a high school buddy, fishing buddy. And I used to make trips out there to go fishing with them. So I had to go out there for some work nonsense. So I'd go out early and we'd go fishing, and then I'd try to pay attention at work stuff, but didn't really. And we were going to fish the Cumberland River, and it's supposed to be world renowned, and I'm reading all this good jazz about it, and like, oh wow, this is cool. So I'm tying flies down in my basement like I used to, and for some reason sometimes you got to groom yourself in some areas that are those areas. Mm-hmm. And I saw that, and I was just done tying flies, and I thought, holy crap, there's some material to dub up and tie a bug with. And so I'm about to die laughing, but I hold it together, and I tie up 2 flies with some curly hackle. And I get out there, and we get to the first hole, and I'm trying to keep it together the whole time because I'm just like baiting these guys in, because neither one of these guys are fly fishermen like I am. They're trying to fly fish. They're working on it, but they're just not. They just weren't where I was at with the love of it and trying it out and figuring everything out. And when you tie 2 flies on, you tie your heavy one on first a lot of times, and then you tie another fly on that's a little lighter. Well, these flies were smaller and lighter, and so. Story of my life. And usually with your second fly, when you pick which one you're going to use out of your box, you grab it and you put it right between your lips, and you pinch it between your lips so the hook doesn't hook you, but you got it held somewhere. And I knew both these guys were going to do that, so they said, hey, you got any recommendations? And I said, I sure do. Yeah. And I handed them both a fly that was tied with the short and curlies, dubbed up.
Yep.
And they both tied it on, stuck it between their lips, and tied all their stuff on, and tied their last fly on, and we hiked down to the river. And I hiked up a little bit upstream and caught a nice little brown trout, and released it. And then I couldn't hold back anymore, and I proceeded to tell my buddy, that my high school buddy, I said, hey, that dropper fly, I dubbed that up with my short and curlies. And he was just pretty much disgusted. God. And then my Marine Corps buddy river quite a ways, and I was like, I can't not tell him now. I'm hiking down. I caught a fish. My weekend's just made. Yeah. So I hiked down there, and he'd been over when I was in the Marine Corps. I was down in San Diego, and he'd been over a bunch of times for Thanksgiving and, just Monday through Friday drinking, whatever we did, just in general. So he knew my wife, and I told him, I said, hey, I dubbed that up with my short and curlies, and not missing a daggone beat. That guy, he says, you got any red ones?
I forget that part. Oh,
that's
wow.
The best part of the whole thing.
It really
he
is.
Took all my thunder away just by saying that, and I was just like, oh, no.
Yeah, he stole it. Oh, man. Yep. Well, I was thinking to myself, I wonder what has happened since then they haven't told you in revenge,
So in revenge, they tried to get me. They still, I don't think it was at the same level, but
No.
I had flown out there, of course, from Pendleton. I was living in Pendleton at the time, and I had some stomach issues going on from the flight and getting out there, and something I ate, I don't know what. But we were on the side of the river. When we got back up to the side of the river, it was like, where is it going to happen? There's a steep bank and just full of brush and all this. There's no way. It's just on the side of the road next to the truck. So it happened right there. Took care of business. Of course, they took a picture.
Right.
So I'm cussing at them and swearing at them, and they're cussing and swearing at me about it. And so we take off, have a great weekend, just good bunch of BS and fun fishing around and dinking off. And then the next year I come back out again, and sitting around the campfire, and those two knuckleheads disappeared. And they came back, and they're standing next to each other, and we're all about 12 beers in at this point, just sitting around the campfire having a good time. I'm just thinking, what in the world is going on? And they both opened their jackets, and they had these bright, hideous yellow T-shirts with my picture of me taking a dump screen printed on the front of it.
Oh, man.
And they wore those shirts the rest of the weekend. And they gave me one, too.
That's
and
beautiful.
My wife threw it away like a year ago or 2 years ago.
That is commitment.
Unbeknownst to me. Yeah. Oh, I loved the shirt. I embraced it. I laughed, about fell out of my chair while seeing that thing.
Oh, man.
And they said they almost picked me up at the airport wearing those. And I said, you guys suck because you should have. Because I would have been so much better.
That is, I love commitment like that. That's great. I mean, yours was pretty committal too. I mean, taking the time to construct something of yourself into the fly, but yeah.
Well, it was giving. It
was
really
giving, and that's the thing, is that's what you've always done, is gave and gave.
I'm a giver. I'm a giver.
So I know, along with fishing, you're a big outdoor advocate, outdoor recreation advocate, and you go out and do a lot of things, and you're in the mountains.
No, I'm not. I'm not an advocate. I'll stay home, and when I go out there, I'm by myself.
Yes, exactly. So I know that you've got some what I would call, I guess, mountain stories. But on a side note, would you be interested in sharing, if I remember correctly, you were once bitten by a rattlesnake?
Oh. Well, I don't know if that story can. I'll try to keep that one clean.
Oh, is it okay? If you don't mind, I mean, I only know one person that's been bit. I've only told
that story with a bunch of curse words in it, so I'll try to keep it clean.
Okay, PG. Thank you.
Let's see here. So about this time, middle of next month, I said, I'm not going to school. I was a senior in high school, not going to school. My buddy Ralph Bedola had graduated the year before, and he said he was going to Tri-Cities, and I said, well, let's go fishing. Let's not go to Tri-Cities. And we ended up going to Tri-Cities, and then we went fishing afterwards. We went all the way up Upper Mackay Creek, and we were wet wading. It was a gorgeous day. I came out to school completely prepared to go fishing for the day instead of studies like I should have. But this was better. And so we were going up the river, and my buddy says, hey, let's walk up the river. And I said, no, dude, that's like deep, so I don't want to get that wet. It's too chilly for me for that. So let's cross right here and walk up that bank over there. And we did that, and the grass was about ankle to mid shin high. And he walks right through, and I walk through, and all of a sudden, whack! I get bit by a dang freaking rattlesnake. Thing was about 3 feet long, searing pain right out of the gate. Hopped away, found a rock, hopped back over there, parked a rock right in the middle of that MF, and then grabbed a stick and proceeded to beat it about its skull till it went limp. Cut the buttons off. And my buddy starts freaking out, and I said, well, just go get your car. The road's right over there. I'll manage to the road, and you go get your car. So he had a Daytona 500. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but they were kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And we're on and that's a gravel road up there. I'm sure it still is up there, gravel road. So I go trying to walk over to the road, and I cannot put much weight on my right ankle. So I'm hobbling along, and then I get to a fence, and I'm just thinking, this is not good here. So I swing my bad leg over, and I put all my weight on it, and it hurts like gangbusters. So I hobble out to the road, and I'm just sitting there, and he comes up, and he just whips a 180 in the road. I'm surprised he didn't hit me. And I got in, and I put my foot up on the dash to elevate it because I thought, hey, I should elevate my leg. Well, that wasn't a good idea. Looking back, knowing what I know now, but I was probably fine because it's still pretty close to the hospital.
How far? How many minutes away from the hospital?
Oh, we're about 45 minutes from St. Agnes.
Okay.
So he goes hauling ass down the gravel road. And I told him, you better slow down or we're going to wreck on this gravel road and we're both going to die. And so he's finally slowed down a little bit, and then he hit the asphalt and he punched it. And he's flying up that, I forget the name of that road, but I can see it. Flew up that road all the way to 395. He hit 395 and he said, oh, good, now we can really go fast. He got that Daytona 500 up to 120 miles an hour. And he's just weaving in and out of traffic. Oh my. And my friend Ralph Bedola is the darkest Mexican fella you've ever seen in your life. Mm-hmm. Well, Umatilla County Sheriff came south on 395 as he's weaving in and out of traffic at 120 miles an hour. Oh, no. And they passed and then flipped it and turned on the cherries and blueberries and came after us. And my buddy said, I'm not stopping. And I said, you better stop or they're going to frickin' throw a spike strip out in front of us and we're never going to get to the hospital again. And the whole time I'm ribbing him about how funny it would be if I died right now because it's not frickin', Oregon Trail days. It's 1995. I'm thinking we have good medical, right?
Right.
So finally the cop gets fairly close, and I talk him into pulling over. So he pulls over by just yanking it over to the right and lighting the brakes up and jumps out of that Daytona 500 as fast as he could and starts running at the cop. His hands were up, and the cop luckily just stayed in his vehicle and got on his bullhorn. And they had a quick conversation, and then the cop said, well, run any light you need. I'll be right behind you. So my buddy jumps back in and says, hey, we can run all the red lights we want because he's going to follow us. And I said, so we can get hit running the lights? What are you talking about? Just stop at the light. Okay. We're not that far away. So he stops at all the lights and we get there and I'm like, hey, I got bit by a rattlesnake. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. We don't really believe you. Why do you think it was a rattlesnake? And I said, well, I got the buttons out in the car. Do you want me to go freaking get them or are you going to treat me? And then they went, oh, and their jaws and their eyes opened up and they got me a gurney and threw me on a gurney. And then my buddy went and talked to the sheriff and showed him the buttons and I got admitted. So he was okay for racing to the hospital instead of calling an ambulance.
Right.
And so I'm laying there on the gurney and it's probably 3:00 in the afternoon now. And school's about to get out. So I said, hey, what's going on? And, oh, hon, we got to test you to see if you're allergic to horses. And we got to do this and we got to do that. I'm laying in the hallway on a gurney, right? And I said, well, let me borrow the phone at least. They brought the phone over to me on a cord like they used to be. And I called my mom and I said, hey, Mom, down here at the hospital and I got bit by a rattlesnake. So just want to let you know where I'm at. I'm okay. Everything's fine. So I'm getting treated. And she says, quit messing with me.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll quit messing with you. But when you don't see me home for dinner, you know where I'm at. And she said, okay, I'm headed down there right now. Okay, no worries. Everything's fine. So I laid there for a good 10 hours on that gurney before I got a room. because the anti-venom was all the way up in Walla Walla, Washington. Yeah. Riddle me that one, Bat Squirrel.
Yeah, which is, let's see.
An hour away.
Yeah, I was going to say, but okay.
So I ended up getting almost the maximum dose of anti-venom. The snake only had one fang, which I guess helped maybe. And my leg got so big, my ankle got so big, I couldn't put my hands around it. And they said, hey, if your leg grows anymore, if it swells anymore, we're going to have to cut big, long lateral lines in the skin to relieve pressure so you can still have circulation so you don't lose your leg. So, okay, well, whatever you need to do. And then I'd been there for, well, I guess 24 hours. And the nurse comes in, and it's Helga. It's not, good-looking nurse. And she says, hey, you haven't taken a leak for 24 hours. You got to take a leak, or we got to put a catheter in.
Oh,
I said, I don't need to go. It's okay. No, don't worry about it. I don't need to go. She said, no, that's not how it works around here. You need to go, so we're either putting a catheter in or you need to go use the bathroom. So I got the catheter right here, and I said, well, you can take that catheter and you can remove it from the room right now. And I said, do I have to walk all the way over there to the bathroom? And she said, no, I can wheel you in a bathroom to put right here next to the bed. And I said, okay, why don't you do that then? And so she wheeled it in, and she asked me if I needed help, and I told Helga she could just remove herself from the room. I can take care of business because, young, dumb, and full of what else. So I proceed to build up the courage to take a leak, and I sit up first, and that didn't feel so good. Then I swung my feet down, and all the blood rushed down into that ankle, and that's probably the most pain I've ever had in my life. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a leak with all this pain.
I'm not getting a catheter.
I'm not getting a catheter, exactly, Les. So I did that, and then I laid back in the bed, and I got my left leg up, but I couldn't get my right leg up, and I just, cursed and swore, and probably sent the penguin into some kind of convulsions or something with all the things I said. And Helga came in and helped me get my leg back up and propped up, and that was that. I don't know how far you want me to go with this story,
thus began the recovery, and you bounced back. I just don't know too many people that have been. I only know one, and so I like to brag about it. Yeah, my buddy Ernest, he's been bit. Said it was easy. It was nothing. Said that people are crying. No, I kid. It was serious. That's crazy to me that you went essentially how many hours then from the time you got bit to the all day.
Pushing 12 hours. Till I got anti-venom.
Is that not beautiful medical attention? That's wonderful. That's great.
No, it's terrible. They should have had it to me in 6 or 5. Saint Agonies.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've probably.
When I live, when I'm here,
you're here.
This conversation,
and you can fish, so that's what's the most important. That's and I know that I could probably do 5 more podcasts with just some of your crazy stories, but I was hoping maybe you'd tell us a little bit about your day job and what you do, because you're in the woods all the time.
Yeah. Not all the time. Not right now. I'm not, even though it's gorgeous out. A normal year starts about the end of this month, and we're in the woods 4 days a week, all the way through into December, into the first part of December. And I'm a surveyor for BLM, so we find original corners that were set back in the mid-1800s to late 1800s, and have, in this area, most all of them have been remonumented, so it's a stainless steel post with a brass cap with markings on it. Mm-hmm. And we go find those, and we survey in between them, and if we need to do some subdivisional breakdown, we do that, and we break the section down even more, and we go in a straight line between point A to point B. So straight up the hill, straight down the side hill, through the poison oak, which I know you don't have out there in Pendleton, which is really nice, but poison oak's not fun.
How many times you've had that poison oak breakout?
I pretty much pretty constant. As soon as the rain gear comes off, I have poison oak from then until the rain gear goes back on.
Yeah. Nice.
It's just a constant dull itch for me. Some guys get it really bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like a dream job, and I know I've seen some of your videos when you're air quote working and driving up the mountains there, and I'm thinking, whoa, that is absolutely beautiful up there.
You know what the problem is with that? That's been my drive for 5 days in a row. That's the same scenery.
Right.
I'd like some new scenery.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, I have moderate cell phone connection out there, so I leave my cell phone in the truck. I don't have to answer a phone all summer, spring and summer.
That's amazing.
It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, I know. You sound, and previously you've sounded pretty tore up about the bum rap you got employment-wise.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember.
But you know what? Somebody has to bite the bullet and do that job, Les.
Again, you're a giver. You're a giver.
You know, keep giving.
Yeah.
And by the way, with all your questions, I know you have some personal questions about the Squatch. I have yet to see any evidence whatsoever ever of the Squatch. And just so anybody out there that may be fearful of the Squatch, the best Squatch repellent is a working phone or working camera.
Yes, as long as you have a camera on or with you.
That works and can take pictures in focus.
Right.
You will never come across a Squatch.
Right.
So.
Right. You know what? That was my next question. I was going to say, because I happen to know, I'm on the fence, but I do know, because I'm always, I want to hear both sides. I do know some people that are really into it, and, I'm open to suggestions, but it's just like, I know that you're in the woods every day, and you haven't run into any pods or, what they make those little, they take the wood and make, like teepees, structures. And so I just wanted to make sure, but promise me this, if you do find evidence, if you do, will you promise
I'll be a rich man?
Yes, and will you promise to bring the exclusive to Sonoman Sideshow to me?
The exclusive.
Excellent.
Pictures and all.
Okay. Well,
now I can for a fact tell you that bears do shit in the woods.
Okay. Now, that was a backup question in case, but now I don't even know what to do with myself because that question really that solved a lot of problems in my life. Oh, man. No, I know if anybody's listened to the show before, I always say my grandpa told me, boy, spit wisdom. And so if I want to ask you if you could go back in time and give some advice or spit wisdom to anyone from any time, whatever, whether it was a young you or a historical figure or whatever, who would it be and what would you say? Boom.
No idea.
For example, my grandpa always used to say also, keep your nose clean if it takes both sleeves. So I've always threw that out there. But so, maybe you see 15-year-old Ernest, and he's just starting to fish, and you're like, what's one thing? You've got one chance to tell him something.
Yeah. I don't know. Just keep going for it.
Okay. All right.
Just keep going, learning, doing.
I know, because early in your life you wanted to be a dancer, right? Just making sure you.
Well, I'm still interested in Gymkata, and I might open a dojo at some point.
Yes,
but
and I
don't know about dancing.
And that's another thing. Let's bring Gymkata back. Let's get people interested in an art form that is amazing.
I totally agree.
Okay.
I totally agree.
And, of course, a couple more questions. Would you promise, please, to come back on the show and tell me more of your crazy stories with rattlesnakes and God only knows what else you've done? Maybe some marine stories? No, that's all. That's explicit, probably.
Yeah, those are probably stories that shouldn't be told unless it's around a campfire without a recording device.
Yeah. How about, and I did bring this up to you, what about being a special correspondent? You know, like I can be just every once in a while give you a call and you'd be like, yeah, this is, Big Ern down here in Southern Oregon. I just saw a Sasquatch or something like that.
So I think we should probably talk more later about that. I got some ideas for you, but I don't know how to actually mix it into your into your shtick here.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. And well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. It was fun. I knew it would be, and I know I'm going to have you back on because as I get better at this, I can delve deeper into all my buddies and their crazy stories that I've heard over the years. And but I will say, if there's anybody who has any questions about fishing in general, Ernest is your guy. He knows everything. He's my own personal guide. I love fishing when Ernest is around. When he's not around, I'm just not interested at all. But he also fishes with beer, so keeps beer handy. So that's always a plus. But no, thanks for being on the show. And
can I say one more thing, Les?
Yes, please.
So I really want to know when Mr. Ed Boatwright is going to be on your show.
Yes, the famous Ed Boatwright, the Viking.
I really want to hear some stories.
Yeah, the old seaman,
Mr. B,
boatsman's mate. We want to get good Ed up. I want to call him Big Steve. We want to get Ed up here on the show sometime, but Ed's not. He hates media and people always clamoring about his military record and everything he's done. So you know how he is. Well, he's quiet.
When you're a hero like that, you don't really put it out there.
I know, and that's what I love about Ed. That's what I love about him. He keeps it to himself. That's what real heroes do, and that's why I like you, because you keep all yours to yourself too. You don't talk about all the great things you've done. So I respect that. So, all right, man. Well, thank you very much. Be good. Tell the family and everybody I said hello, and come back again.
Will do. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye. Always a pleasure to talk with Big Ern. Cool dude. Hope to have him back. Okay, I want to thank tonight's guest, Big Ern Lundeen, listeners, and my sponsors. Bill Murphy Roofing, Wandering Wizard Concepts, Vertical Jigs and Lures, DLC Photography, The Shop, DieselFuelFilterKits.com, History Hunters and Firearm Antiquities, I always trouble saying that, and the John P. Salter Foundation. All sponsors can be found online and on most major social media outlets. Introduction music provided by Pecan Pie and distributed by Upbeat. News articles provided by Reuters and Associated Press. Today's odd story was from Ohio.com, I believe. That's a wrap, folks. Be sure to catch the next episode. Until then, keep your nose clean if it takes both sleeves. Say nice things about me, 'cause I'm gone.
Hi, that's good news.
Well, I'm your doctor, baby. Let me give you what you need. Well, I'm your doctor, baby. Let me give you what you need.